My name's Tyler, and I'm the owner-operator of Pit Fitness here in Saskatoon. And I've been in the fitness industry now for over 10 years. And with that, I've helped people change their lives and change their stories by focusing on health and focusing on what their body can do, and by focusing on where they want to go and the steps that they need to accomplish that. Today I'd like to start with my own journey and really where health and weight loss started for me, and it really kicked off in elementary school. And I know a lot of people are going to relate to that. But when I look back at pictures, I see pictures where I was young, and by no means would I say I was overweight or I was fat. I was a big farm kid, and so I was always working out in the fields with Dad, and so I always was a bigger kid. But with that, I have this distinct memory growing up where it was me and actually one other kid, and we ended up getting teased for being bigger, and we both ended up talking to each other because we didn't understand. We knew that we were bigger than some of the other kids, but when you look at the pictures, by no means would I say either of us were overweight or obese. We were just active boys in elementary school, but that stuck with me. And to be honest, that's kind of where my journey started with everything, because we start to tell ourselves stories, and we really start to take on a lot of times what other people tell us we are, and we start acting that out. And over the next few years, I was scared to change in gym class because I was worried I was going to get made fun of. And it ended up becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy where, I started to put on the weight, and I started to gain a lot of excess body fat. I became less active over time. And, like I said, it kind of just snowballed into this place where suddenly I was fulfilling what people were telling me I was. And I think that we can extrapolate that into a lot of everyday life, where we start to take on personas and personalities and stories that we might not actually be us. And, and that's why I wanted to talk to everyone here today is, to really build off of that and to let you know that you can change your story, and you can change the way you perceive yourself. And we don't have to worry about how others perceive us, because at the end of the day, what's important is how you perceive yourself and how you feel about where you're at. And that's why I started Pit Fitness. And I opened my own personal training center because I realized that there were a lot of people that were taking on other people's stories, and they were really starting to internalize that. And I remember sitting down with people and them talking about not wanting to come to the gym because they wanted to lose weight first, or not wanting to come to the gym because they didn't know what to do. When to me, it was like, that's exactly where you need to be. And the gym is exactly where you need to go. But they wanted to do it first. So I get it. And I could relate to that, because I still remember one of the first times that I stepped into a gym, and, in my head, I was like, I'm a man, I'm big, I'm strong, this is where I'm supposed to be. But there was that tiny voice in my head that kept telling me that it was that I didn't belong there and I shouldn't be there. And I was self-conscious. And with me being a big guy in a gym who's supposed to be in the gym, right? If I was self-conscious, well, no wonder other people are self-conscious, especially if it's someone who doesn't feel they're supposed to be there, why they think people are looking at them. And I really wanted to empower people so that they could overcome that, and that they could really become the best versions of themselves and grow from there. So with opening Pit Fitness, that's exactly what I strive and aim to do, is with it being a private personal training studio, I can train with people one-on-one and really help them reach their goals. Or I do offer, some group classes to help people also build that community. Because even though we might be self-conscious about going out and working out with other people, that's something that's really important too, is finding that community and finding people to help you build some strength and to help you grow. the radio station is CJWW. Well, my initials are TJW. TJW. And in elementary school, this one kid to the jingle would sing TJWW Fat Skatoon. And so having stories like that helps me understand and relate to people who may have went through the same things, that maybe really have been bullied or have, really taken on, like I mentioned earlier, that persona of what other people had projected. And so when I bring that into my sessions, I really focus on the person and where they're coming from. Because at the end of the day, it's not about losing weight. It's not about how we look. It's how we feel and how we perceive ourselves. And that's my goal, is to help people and empower them to find that inner strength and find who they want to be and who they are, not on anyone else's terms, but on their terms. And so that's how I structure my sessions, is obviously we're focused on movement and being physical and being active. But again, that leads to empowerment. And it reminds me of a client I had, we'll call her Tammy. And she ended up coming to me, and she was about to turn 40, and she really wanted to run a race. And originally, she also had wanted to change her size. But once I got started with her, she saw how empowering the strength aspect was. And it led me to this little story from her where she ended up going camping with her husband and her dad. And they were busy with the boat in the water, and they had a kayak on top of their vehicle. And she went and wanted to take it down. But her husband and her dad, they were busy, they were doing other things, and they had told her to wait. Well, she had this moment in her head where she said she kind of heard my voice and was like, the reason you train is to make life easier. And so she's like, well, I lift more than this kayak in the gym. Why can't I take it down myself? So that's exactly what she did. She ended up taking this kayak down, and she was out on the water shortly thereafter, to the shock and surprise of her father and her husband, who it had taken both of them to put it up on top of the vehicle, and she was able to do it herself. So the smile on her face when she told me that story, and just how proud she was of where she was at, and she was focused on what she could do and how it made her life better, is really what I try and bring to the sessions, is really try and pull out of people so that they can see that as well. Because at the end of the day, I might be the personal trainer, but I'm not the one that gets the results. I'm just the mentor. I'm just the person that comes beside you and helps you see that it was in you all along. You're the one that has to do the hard work. I'm just there to keep you on track and to give you some of that knowledge and some of that encouragement to help you get from point A to point B. Something that does give me that unique perspective is there's a lot of people that deal with that and have that same inner dialogue that went through my head as well. And so, that's where I think that gives me a unique perspective to really connect with people. And that's everything that I do, I really focus it on a relational basis, right? It's really, I really want to connect with the person and really understand where they came from and who they are, to ultimately help them get them to where they want to be and to bring that out of them. And I think that comes from the fact that that's what I always wanted growing up, is to have someone step in and pull that out of me and show me what I could do and what I was capable of. And I had people that tried. I'm not going to say that it was, it's all myself over the years, because it's definitely not. But a lot of times, especially in the younger years, I found I had a hard time relating, especially to people that were trying to empower me, because a lot of times it was teachers just telling me, if you applied yourself, you could do better. And it was coaches who would just give me extra work to do instead of connecting with me and helping me understand, hey, I want you to do this extra work so that you do excel and it makes you even better than where you're at. Whereas to me at the time, it made me feel like I wasn't good enough, that I had to do this extra work because, again, it tied into being overweight or feeling I was too big. and feeling that I wasn't worthy. And it ended up causing me to retreat into myself. So to wrap around to what do I want to kind of accomplish and help with this podcast is by telling my story and where I've been and how I've changed my story, from the elementary years to now, is helping other people really find that in themselves and to help them realize that they're not alone and that there are other people that deal with the same things, and that, there's hope out there, and that we need to really come together and be open and talk about our stories so that we can understand that they're exactly that. They're stories. They're made up in our head. And a lot of times that holds us back from the things that we can do. So I want to help people break down some of those barriers that hold them back so that they can move forward and change their story. The key thing there is one small thing that you can do, and it's find your support system. Find a friend that will work out with you or help you make some lifestyle changes. Find a coach. If you don't have someone in your life that is there to help you make those choices and changes, then find a coach. Find someone that you trust, and don't just take the first coach that comes along. Coaches should be interviewing you, and you should be interviewing coaches to really find that connection. And I do think that is a great way to get started. If you're not ready to take that step and find that aspect, then just start small. Again, just find something little that you can do. We have a habit as people to want to jump out and make big changes. We want to revamp our diet. We want to go run. We want to go lift weights. We want to stop smoking. And we try and do them all at once. And then we end up failing. So the small key thing to do is keep it small and start with one little thing and start stacking those wins. I'm sure if anyone has watched motivational speakers or watched any of these, success gurus out there, a lot of times that's a theme that they have. And I echo that, is find one small thing, whether it's going for a walk 10 minutes every morning when you wake up, or 5 minutes after every meal, or making sure you drink water right away when you wake up or after every meal. Will start to build off of that. And yeah, like I said, if you're not sure where to go, then reach out. Find a great coach, a great trainer, a great mentor, someone who can help you and guide you and that you trust. So I want to thank you for watching today or tuning in. And again, I'm new to this. I'm new to the podcast world and even to the video world itself. And you're going to be seeing my story change and unfold over this next while. And I encourage you to join me in that change and that growth. And I would love for you to drop comments and share with me how you're changing your story and how you're learning and growing and becoming the best version of yourself.